I never imagined my life would be shattered by something so unexpected. I always thought I knew my husband inside and out, that I understood him better than anyone else. After all, we had been together for over a decade, through thick and thin, but nothing in my wildest dreams could have prepared me for the discovery I made that day. It all started innocently enough. I was cleaning out the attic, as we often did when the seasons changed. You know how it is, moving boxes around, sorting through old things you don't remember even owning. I wasn't looking for anything in particular. I wasn't expecting to find anything. But as I reached for an old dusty box in the back corner of the attic, I noticed something odd. Behind a stack of old books and records, there was a small locked safe. It was strange because I'd never seen it before. I had no idea it even existed. For a moment, I thought it was probably something Nathan had put up there, maybe a keepsake box or something from his past that he hadn't gotten around to sharing with me. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that he had never mentioned the safe. We had always been open with each other, or so I thought. The safe was just sitting there, practically calling to me. A curious, nagging feeling crept over me. I knew I had no right to pry, but I couldn't stop myself. There was something about that safe, something that told me I needed to open it. Maybe it was the thrill of curiosity, or maybe it was the fact that I had felt a strange distance between us for the past few months. Either way, I found the key that must have been hidden somewhere in the box, and with trembling hands I turned it in the lock. When the safe clicked open, I expected to find something trivial, a pile of old receipts, maybe a few dusty letters, or some other forgotten trinket. But what I found was something that would forever change the way I looked at my marriage, at my husband, at everything. Inside the safe were several envelopes, each one carefully sealed and labeled with a name I didn't recognize. My heart skipped a beat as I picked up the first one. The handwriting on the envelope was elegant, almost flowing, like something out of an old romantic novel. I was already halfway through opening it before my brain even had a chance to process what I was doing. Inside the envelope were several handwritten letters. My eyes scanned the first few lines, and my stomach dropped. These weren't just letters. They were love letters, words of longing, desire, and affection. I couldn't comprehend what I was reading, couldn't grasp the implications of what I had found. The name at the top of the letter was one I didn't recognize, Sophia. I read through the letter, and my hand started to tremble. It was clear that Nathan had been involved with someone else, someone he hadn't mentioned to me before, someone he was clearly deeply in love with. The words she wrote to him were intimate, full of affection. She spoke of missing him, of wanting to be with him, of memories they shared together. She wrote with such warmth, such emotion, that it felt like I was reading someone else's love story. But I wasn't. This was my husband's love story, a story he had never told me. I don't know what made me keep reading. Maybe it was the disbelief, or maybe it was the need for answers. But I continued. The next letter was from another woman, and then another. Each one more heartfelt, more personal, and more heartbreaking than the last. There were letters from different women, all professing their love for Nathan, all describing their secret rendezvous, their stolen moments. As I sat there, my mind swirling with confusion, I couldn't understand how this had happened. How had Nathan kept this from me for so long? How had he managed to live this double life, sharing such intimate moments with these women while pretending everything was fine with me? And why hadn't he ever mentioned any of them? I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the letters at him, confront him right then and there. But part of me felt paralyzed. Part of me was still holding on to the hope that maybe, just maybe, there was some explanation. Maybe it was all a misunderstanding, or maybe the letters were from his past. But even as I thought that, I knew deep down that this was no misunderstanding. This was real. This was Nathan, and this was a side of him that I had never seen before. I waited for him to come home that evening. I didn't know what I was going to say, or how I was going to confront him, but I knew I had to. My mind raced with 1,000 questions. How could he do this to me? How long had this been going on? What had I missed? When Nathan walked through the door, I could tell something was off. He looked tired, his face drawn and weary, but there was also something else in his eyes, something that made my heart race. It was as if he knew that everything was about to change, as if he knew I had discovered his secret. "Hey, babe," he said, trying to sound casual. "How was your day?" I didn't answer him. I couldn't. I just stood there, holding the letters in my hands, the evidence of his betrayal staring me in the face. Nathan's eyes immediately shifted to the letters, and his smile faltered. "Sarah," he said slowly, his voice uncertain. "What are you doing with those?" I didn't say anything. I just handed him the letters. The silence between us was deafening. He didn't take them immediately. Instead, he looked at me as if searching for some kind of explanation, some way to undo what had already been done. Sarah, I can explain," he began, but I could see the fear in his eyes now, the panic starting to set in. "Please, let me explain." I shook my head slowly, my mind racing. I wanted to scream at him, to call him out on everything, but all I could manage was a quiet, trembling voice. "Explain? How do you explain this, Nathan? How do you explain this?" I gestured to the letters in his hands. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice shaking. "I never meant for you to find out this way. I never wanted to hurt you. But there's something you need to understand." "Something I need to understand?" I repeated, my voice rising now. "You've been lying to me, Nathan. You've been lying to me for years, and now I find this hidden away in a safe, and you expect me to just understand." He looked down at the letters in his hands, his face filled with guilt. "I didn't want you to know," he said quietly. "I didn't want to hurt you, Sarah. But I've been struggling with this for a long time. I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't know how to admit the truth." "The truth," I said, my voice trembling with emotion. "You've been seeing other women behind my back. You've been keeping a second life from me, and you're telling me that it's just struggling with the truth. Nathan, how could you do this?" "I know I messed up," he said, his voice breaking. "I've made so many mistakes, but I swear to you it's over. I've ended things with them. It was a mistake, Sarah. I was selfish. I didn't want to lose you, and I thought if I kept it hidden, I wouldn't have to choose. But I was wrong. I should have told you. I should have been honest. I don't know if I can forgive you," I said quietly, tears welling up in my eyes. "How do I forgive you for this? How do I move forward after everything you've done?" He stepped closer, reaching out for me, but I took a step back. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness," he said, his voice pleading. "But please, Sarah, don't leave me. I love you. I've always loved you. I'll do anything to fix this." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to believe him. Part of me wanted to go back to the life we had, the life that I thought was perfect. But the other part of me, the part that had been lied to, the part that felt so deeply betrayed, Wasn't sure if I could ever trust him again. I need time, I whispered. I can't make any decisions right now. I need to think. I need space. Nathan's face fell, and I saw the desperation in his eyes. Please don't go, he said, his voice filled with pain. Please don't leave me, Sarah. I'll do anything. I swear I will. But I knew, deep down, that I couldn't make any decisions while I was still in the whirlwind of emotions that he had created. I needed time to think. I needed time to process what I had discovered and to decide what was best for me. I couldn't let him dictate the pace of my healing. I'll be back, I said softly, but I don't know when. With that, I walked away, leaving Nathan standing there, his hand still holding the love letters that had shattered my heart. I didn't know what the future held. I didn't know if I could ever forgive him. But one thing was clear. I couldn't stay in the same place anymore. I had to figure out who I was without him, and that would take time. The next few days were a whirlwind of emotions I could hardly process. The house felt empty, the air thick with silence, and every corner seemed to echo with the weight of what had just happened. I couldn't stop thinking about the letters. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Nathan handing those words, those promises to other women. Each letter had been a dagger, each word a betrayal, and I couldn't erase the images from my mind. How could I ever look at him the same way again? But there was something else eating at me, something more than just the pain of his betrayal. It was the confusion, the uncertainty. How could someone who had been a loving husband for so long keep such a deep secret from me? How could I have been so blind? I thought we had built our life together on trust, but everything had been built on lies. How could I have trusted him so completely? I stayed with my sister for a few days, seeking refuge in her home. She was always a calming presence, but even her kind words couldn't soothe the storm inside of me. I couldn't stop replaying the conversations with Nathan, the way he had tried to downplay everything. He'd said, I never meant to hurt you, and I was selfish, but none of it seemed to make any sense. He had been seeing other women, hiding them in plain sight, and I had trusted him. I had allowed myself to believe that our life together was perfect, when all along he was hiding a part of himself from me. I couldn't stop the feeling that I was being forced to choose between two versions of reality, the one where I was married to Nathan, the man I loved, and the one where everything had been a lie. Could I ever go back to the way things were? Could I rebuild the trust one had lost? Or was I just holding on to a dream that had already shattered? I kept thinking about those women, those love letters. They were written with such care, such intimacy, that I couldn't help but feel that Nathan had given them something I had never had. He had shared a part of himself with them that he had kept hidden from me, and that realization made my stomach twist with jealousy and hurt. How could he have done this? How could he have shared that side of himself with them while keeping me in the dark? The phone calls from Nathan didn't stop. Every day, there was a message, a voicemail, or a text. He kept apologizing, begging me to listen to him. But how could I? How could I trust a man who had lied to me for so long? He didn't deserve my forgiveness, and yet a small part of me, the part that still loved him, wanted to hear him out. But I knew deep down that I couldn't keep going in circles. I couldn't stay trapped in this limbo forever. I needed answers, and I needed to make a decision. That's when I decided to meet him. I couldn't avoid it any longer. I couldn't keep running from the reality of what had happened. I needed closure, one way or another. I arranged to meet him at a quiet cafe, a neutral ground where I could listen, ask my questions, and, hopefully, get the answers I so desperately needed. When I walked in, I saw Nathan, sitting at a table by the window. He looked different, tired, weighed down like a man who had been carrying the world on his shoulders. He was dressed in a suit, but the usual confidence that had once radiated from him was now gone. His eyes were bloodshot, his face pale as if he hadn't slept in days. I walked up to the table, and for a moment, neither of us spoke. We just stared at each other, both of us unsure of what to say next. Finally, Nathan broke the silence. "I didn't want this to happen," he said, his voice hoarse. "I never wanted to hurt you, Sarah. I've been a fool and I know it. I can't change the past, but I want to make things right. I want to fix this." I sat down, folding my arms across my chest. I didn't know what I was supposed to feel. Should I still be angry? Should I give him a chance to explain? Or should I walk away and never look back? "How can I trust you again?" I asked, my voice trembling. "How can I believe anything you say, when everything you've told me has been a lie?" Nathan's face softened, and I could see the guilt written all over it. "I know I don't deserve your trust, Sarah. I don't expect you to forgive me right away. I don't expect you to just forget about what I've done. But I need you to know that I love you. I always have. You are the one I want to be with, but I messed up. I hurt you, and I can't take that back. I'll do whatever it takes to make things right." I shook my head slowly. "It's not that simple, Nathan. You've kept this secret for years. You've been lying to me, living a life I didn't know about. How can I just move on from that?" "I understand," he said, his voice full of remorse. "But I'm asking for a chance to prove that I can be the man you thought I was. I've been selfish, but I'll make it right. I'll end things with them. I'll stop everything. Just please don't give up on me." I looked at him, feeling torn between the man I loved and the man who had betrayed me. How could I just ignore everything that had happened? How could I forgive him for living a double life? But there was a part of me, deep down, that still wanted to believe in him. Still wanted to believe in us. "Do you love her?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Do you love Emily? Is she the one you want?" Nathan's eyes widened in shock, and for a brief moment, I saw genuine confusion in his gaze. "No," he said quickly, almost too quickly. "No, I don't love her. I love you, Sarah. I made mistakes, but my heart has always been with you. Please, don't think that I was ever in love with her." The words didn't feel like enough, though. They felt like something he was saying because he knew he had to say it. He knew that in order to keep me, he had to make me believe he hadn't given his heart to anyone else. But was that true? Was it really just about physical attraction? Or had he been emotionally invested in her, too? "I don't know if I can trust you anymore, Nathan," I said, my voice breaking. "I don't know if I can go back to the way things were. You've hurt me in ways I didn't even know were possible. You've shattered the trust one had in you, and I don't know if that can ever be fixed." "I know I've hurt you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "And I don't expect you to forgive me right away. But I swear to you, I'll do anything to make it right. Please, Sarah, I don't want to lose you. You mean everything to me. I've messed up, but I will fix this." I looked at him, trying to find the man I had fallen in love with. But the more I looked, the more I realized that man might be gone. I didn't know if I could go back to him. I didn't know if I could forgive him for all the lies, for the second life he had been living without me. I had to make a choice that would define my future. Do I stay with the man I loved, the man I had shared my life with, Or do I walk away from everything I had known and start fresh? I didn't know what the right answer was. I didn't know if I could trust him again. I need time, I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. I need space to think. I can't make any decisions right now. Nathan's face fell, but he nodded. I understand, he said softly. I'll give you all the time you need, Sarah. I'll wait. I just hope you'll come back to me. I didn't know what the future held. I didn't know if I could ever go back to Nathan, or if I could find it in myself to forgive him. But one thing was clear. I couldn't keep living in limbo. I needed to find out who I was, what I needed, and what was truly best for me. And so, as I walked away from the cafe, leaving Nathan behind, I knew that this was just the beginning of a long, difficult journey. But it was a journey I had to take alone, at least for now. I wasn't sure where this path would lead, but I knew I had to take the first step. The hardest step, but the only one that could set me free.